I think I would say try and learn the battles that you want to fight.
Did you just put the ring on, or are you in the first few years of your marriage? Welcome to the First Year Marriage Show, the podcast dedicated to helping newlyweds navigate the first few years of marriage. My husband, Marcus, and I will be sharing marriage tips to help you build a strong foundation for your marriage. We believe having a strong foundation is essential to having a happy, healthy, and lasting marriage. We will also be learning from the experiences of awesome married couples who have been where you are today, taking from them lessons to help you build a strong foundation for the lasting marriage you desire. Take a deep breath, relax, learn, and enjoy the show. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the First Year Marriage Show. We'd like to wish you a happy Easter, a happy spring, whatever you celebrate this time of year. For all the show notes for this week's episode, visit firstyearmarriage.com/28. Have a great week and enjoy this week's story.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the First Year Marriage Show podcast. I am your host, Marcus Kusi, and our guest for this week is Megan Clare. Megan is a travel blogger who blogs at mappingmegan.com, and she calls the world home. She has been married for 2 years, enjoys traveling around the world with her husband, simply because she believes travel builds character. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You call the world home. Why do you call the world home? Because everybody, if you ask anybody where is your home, they probably name a country or a town that they were born in, something like that.
Definitely. Well, we call the world our home because we now travel full time. So we gave up our jobs in order to travel the world. So I now make a full-time living through my travel blog, Mapping Megan, and that really gives us the freedom and flexibility to travel as much as we want, and that just happened to be all the time. So we're constantly jumping from place to place. We're never in one city for longer than a couple of months. We're just obsessed with that feeling of seeing the world. So I guess you could technically say we're on a never-ending honeymoon.
That's really awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoy traveling, because not everybody would enjoy traveling, especially with dealing with visas and the airports and being in a plane for a long time.
It can definitely be stressful at times, but ultimately, all over, it's more pros than cons.
Yeah. So how did you meet Mike? How did you meet your husband?
We actually have a little bit of a funny story. So we met while we were both traveling solo. He is from America and I'm from Australia. And everybody asks, obviously, where did you meet? We actually met in Africa. So I'm Australian, he's American. We met in Africa, as you do. But we were both climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So we did the solo climb with just different groups, didn't know each other. And then after having both completed the climb, we met at the bottom at the hotel that we were both staying at and just stayed up, had drinks with each other at the bar. We had to leave for our own respective countries that next morning, so we only really spent kind of 12 hours together. But I guess when you know, you know. So we swapped email addresses and we just kept in contact. And then I guess before you knew it, we were in a long-distance relationship. And then the next thing we knew, we were married in Hawaii. So a little bit different.
That's an interesting story. You are from Australia and Mike is from the US, and then you meet in Africa, and you don't meet at the beginning of the climb. You met after the climb had ended. The next day, you guys parted ways, and then you still come in contact.
That's it. The funniest thing being the Mount Kilimanjaro climb, we were each actually supposed to be there with like respective partners at the time, but they both pulled out. So we both just decided, screw it, we're just going to do it by ourselves. And then I guess we met. So that was lucky.
Yeah. How did you know that Mike was the one that you wanted to settle down with? How did you guys know? Because I know being in a long distance relationship is not easy. You probably won't be able to see each other that frequently. So how did you come to the conclusion, okay, this is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with? Because making that decision is not an easy one.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, it just happened. Like, I'm a very big proponent of, like, as soon as you stop looking and as soon as you stop trying to force something to happen, like, if it's naturally meant to be, it will. So we didn't think that have any expectations about having a long distance relationship. We just kept in contact. We spoke on the phone every night and just shot emails back and forth. We wrote each other letters. It just honestly got to the stage where we were talking on the phone every night for hours on end, and we really knew each other that we realized, well, we're pretty much in a long distance relationship. Why not make it official? And then we kept, like, every few months we'd meet up in different points around the world because obviously you do need kind of physical contact and to be able to see each other to make a long distance relationship work. But I think that if that baseline of friendship is there, and I think that if you do have really great communication with the person, then anything's possible. And I don't believe anyone who says that a long distance relationship can't work, because we are the prime example that it can. But yeah, it just kind of happened, honestly. I think it just all fell into place at the right time in both of our lives.
Did you guys have any difficulties with your long distance relationship at all?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think every long distance relationship is going to have difficulties, and it's unrealistic to believe otherwise. So, for instance, you're going to have people in your life on both ends telling you that it's a ridiculous idea and you're wasting your time, because who knows what the other person is doing. I got told that I was going to end up murdered and raped and like chopped up into little bits by my very supportive friends, who were then actually at our wedding. But yeah, I think people can be very skeptical about something that they don't know. So I think that if you can listen to the negativity and take their advice, let them know that you're taking their advice, but ultimately if something's right for you, then go with it. There's no reason to listen to negativity and actually take that on board and let that ruin something that you know is right. So there are always going to be different challenges. You're always going to have people in your ear who don't believe that you can achieve something or make something work. But if you want to make it work, you can, and that's the ultimate line.
That's very, very true. I know with long distance relationships, it's all about putting in the effort and working together to make it work if you guys really wanted to survive or want to continue the relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how will you describe your first year of marriage in 1 or 2 words?
Probably say adventurous. We were traveling, so we were always doing something crazy like skydiving or bungee jumping. Once again, I guess one long honeymoon, but yeah, so probably adventurous if I had to choose one word.
And with it being adventurous, did you guys have to go through any difficulties at all during that first year, like any adjustments that you had to make, especially when you didn't live together before getting married and you were in a long distance relationship?
In terms of getting married, we had lived together for 12 months before that. So Mike had moved to Australia and we'd lived together for 12 months before we actually tied the knot and became married. So in that sense, there weren't really any adjustments in our first year of marriage because we'd already made the adjustments which needed to happen for living together. So I think in that first year in Australia, there are a few adjustments. So, for instance, Mike comes from a family where he really doesn't have that many family members. I come from a family where I have 4 brothers and sisters, and they have 4 kids and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and at that stage, I was still living with my parents in between my travels. So we all kind of moved in together, and that was a little bit of an adjustment, as it would be. But yeah, so we kind of had lived together for that period of time first and then got married. So I always laughed when people would ask, what's married life like? Because it really wasn't any different. We just had a ring on our fingers.
I can see how you guys learn a lot about each other, living together for the year before you guys got married. So that probably made that first year easier for you guys.
Absolutely. I think as well, though, that it's funny because I think that we knew each other better than we would have had we been dating normally through a long distance relationship, because a long distance relationship does force you to talk to the person. You're forced to communicate with each other. So I maintained to all my friends who told me that I was crazy that I knew him better from talking on the phone every night for an hour than they did probably spending one night a week at the cinemas with someone they'd been dating for 4 months.
Yeah. So I know Mike had to adjust to you having a bigger family. How did you guys have any issues with your in-laws at all, during that first year?
No, not really. Tragically, Mike's dad passed away, which was very, very obviously when any family member passes away, it's difficult. So, but that was really the only obstacle that it wasn't an obstacle, obviously, but that was just a period in our life that we overcame. But other than that, our families have been great.
That's really awesome. I'm glad that you guys had supportive families, because I know some of our listeners who are listening to us right now might have issues with their in-laws, and that is not helping them.
I guess we've been pretty lucky. My family is so supportive, and we'd be lost without them, honestly. My parents are so supportive, and we know that we've always got a house to crash at or a place to crash if anything goes wrong. So that's really, really lucky to have supportive parents.
Yeah. So with you being from Australia and Mike being from the US, what are some of the things that you guys had to do in order to merge your finances? Because I'm thinking you probably had different ideas or different upbringing, and Mike had a different upbringing too. Like, did you guys have any conflicts here and there?
In terms of cultural differences, not really, because I think that the cultures of America and Australia are very aligned. So I really don't think there were any conflicts there. Obviously, like, there are going to be struggles in any kind of like international relationship in terms of immigration is annoying as hell, all the paperwork, all of that kind of fun stuff. So if you are in an international relationship, obviously you have to decide which country to live in, and then it will take a few years to go through all of the paperwork and all of the red tape to get residency. So that's been lots and lots of fun. But apart from that, not really any cultural conflicts. We're both very, I guess we were kind of had very similar upbringings.
Oh wow, that's really good. It looks like you guys didn't have a lot of struggles in your first year at all. Was there any conflict that you guys had in the first year that you had to sit down together as a married couple to resolve it?
Like, I guess because we travel full time, obviously you're literally with that person 24/7, so there's not really any escaping. He has to listen to my Katy Perry songs on the radio and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think constantly being on the road is a struggle in itself. Obviously, there are little different things that you can do, like give each other space, all of that kind of thing, to make sure that you're minimizing conflict. But I really think that just open communication is the biggest, like the absolute biggest tool to get through any kind of conflict.
I'm glad you brought up communication, because I know communication is something that a lot of couples struggle with. What are some of the tips that you guys implemented that helped you to communicate really well during your travels and during that first year?
Just that you do need, we both recognize that you do need space. So, for instance, as I mentioned, traveling full time, you're literally with the person 24/7. I think in a normal marriage, like, you'd go to work, you have kind of 8 hours a day that's different. You come home, you sit down, you've got something to talk about with your partner. You say, this is what happened today, honey, kind of thing. Whereas we're with each other literally every hour of every day, so we know what's happened each day because we share those experiences, which is a magical thing. But then you can't sit down and say, what happened today? Like, share your day with me, because we already know. So I think that we've realized you do need to take some time for yourself, and you do need to, like, have a little bit of space and just, like, to collect your thoughts, that kind of thing. So we just really try hard to keep, obviously, the open communication, the lines of communication open, but to also make time for ourselves individually as well.
With making times for each other, what system do you guys do? Was it like, okay, every day you get 1 hour, or every day you get like 2 hours to yourself? Like, what did you guys actually do?
It's not really a system, like, to that point. It's just more of something to keep in the back of your head. So, like, I might go down to the pool and read a book if I want to that day, and he's not going to get kind of upset because I'm leaving to go down to the pool, that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily a stringent thing we have in place where we take 1 hour personally each day. It's just more of we recognize that we each need time for ourselves. So if something comes up that day that we want to do, we go do it, kind of thing.
Okay. So during that first year, I'm trying to get some of the issues that you guys had with that first year, but it looks like from everything you're telling me, you guys had a really, really good first year, which is really good. I'm glad you guys did. Was there a moment in that first year that you felt really, like, low, or you felt your worst?
Not necessarily. We work very well together, so I think that we have had, I guess, a pretty smooth first year of marriage. Like, there have been stressful points, for instance, with immigration, never knowing, like, for instance, we'll want to make the move to America. However, it takes like 6 months to hear back, and you don't know when you're going to hear back. So in terms of that, it is very stressful not knowing where you're going to be going, or if you'll have a place to go to, kind of thing. So that always causes stress, but, like, you kind of learn over time. You just need to deal with those things. And the biggest thing we've learned with being a traveling international couple is that things always have a tendency to fall into, and a way of falling into place, stress, and not take it out on each other.
So you guys came up with your own realizations, or you observed how things were going for you guys, and then you decided, because of the way things have been going for you guys, you wouldn't stress over certain things, so you just let certain things play out the way they're supposed to play out.
Absolutely. We always try and be as organized as possible. Mike's more the organized person. I'm more the go with the flow person. So we kind of balance each other out there. But we've realized that all the planning in the world that we can do, sometimes situations just have to play themselves out. So while we're big advocates for being prepared and planning as much as possible, in the end, there's only a certain amount you can kind of prepare yourself, and then you just have to let life take its course.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Sometimes you just cannot, even though you plan, life brings up certain things that you really cannot do much, but you just have to wait for things to unfold, and then you can make further steps. Yeah.
Like have different plans for like what the different scenarios that could happen, but ultimately don't try and force things because things have a way of happening themselves.
Yeah. So with traveling overseas during that first year, was there a moment that you guys had difficulty in terms of who did what? Let's say like with the chores or with the laundry.
We're both very independent people, so we both kind of just stick to cleaning up after ourselves, and that works fairly well. I'm fairly lucky in that Mike does all the cooking, so that's fantastic for me. Something about he doesn't trust me not to poison him or something like that. I don't know. Apparently, Mike, I worked at McDonald's for 10 years, so I can at least make a burger. But apart from that, my cooking skills aren't really up to par. So Mike does the cooking, but apart from that, we kind of both just clean up after ourselves.
I'm really glad that you guys click and you know what to do, so it's very easy for you guys to not butt heads. From what I've experienced, when you have two independent people living together in the same house, like one person wants to have their own space and do things in a certain way, and the other wants to do things in a certain way. Did you guys struggle with that at all?
Not really. Like, I guess we're just the biggest thing I think for a successful marriage is that you just have to respect the other person and put the other person first. And I think that we're both very good in doing that. Like, we both realize, I really think we both put the other person first. So you're always thinking about, like, how is this going to affect them, or like that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think being like having that solid base of friendship is really good because we genuinely want to spend all of our time together, kind of thing. So there's not really much conflict there.
What helped you guys build that solid base of friendship for your marriage?
Honestly, probably that long distance. Like, I really think long distance relationship, as hard as it was and as much as people say they fail, I really think that was probably a huge thing which put us on the track we're on, just because we were forced to communicate every night. There was like for 6 months straight, we were on the phone every night for hours. And you really do need to, like, that forces you to talk to someone, and you learn how to talk, and you learn how to laugh, and you learn how to communicate, I guess. So I really think that long distance relationship was probably the best thing that happened to us.
Looking back to that time, that period that you guys were miles away from each other, are you happy now that you guys went through that period whereby you were separated?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it was difficult as hell, honestly. Like, it was hard as hell. And it actually, like, in a way, it kind of worked out well because we were both working 2 jobs to kind of like meet up and travel. So we got these amazing experiences out of it as well. So we'd save all of our money, and then we'd fly to London, or we'd save all of our money again, and then we'd fly to Switzerland. So in that sense, we got some pretty amazing vacations out of it.
Yeah. I've been to London before, and I know it's a really nice city, and there are a lot of things that you can do. So I can see how, whilst you are working those 2 jobs, trying to save the money, just looking forward to being away and having that fun will be something that will motivate you to be able to save up quickly so you can go have fun.
Oh, for sure. And I think ours was definitely a very unconventional relationship in the sense that, so we would be apart for kind of months on end, and then when we were together, we'd be together 24/7 for like 2 weeks. So it was very, very different than your normal kind of dating process.
With your first year, I know there are a lot of things that happened for you guys. You probably had a lot of memories because you spend most of the time traveling. What are some of the memories or exciting moments or funny moments that when you guys sit down today, or when you sit down to talk about that first year, it brings smiles to your face?
Obviously, as you said, we've made a lot of memories, which we're very fortunate for. I think probably one of the most exciting moments was a time in my travel blogging career. So Doubletree by Hilton hired us to go around their properties in Central and South America and promote their hotels via social media and our blog. And that was the first time that we were actually being paid to travel the world as opposed to just kind of traveling.
That's amazing.
That was the best. I think I was actually jumping up and down after I hung up. I was very professional on the phone when I heard that I got the gig, and then I started jumping up and down. So that was definitely one of the most amazing kind of experiences in the first year because we were being paid to do something we both loved, and I was doing it with the person I loved, kind of thing. So that was probably one of the best moments of our first year of marriage.
It's really nice to be able to have something like that with your spouse, especially when it's free. You're going to make money out of it, and you're going to have fun exploring a different country or different culture or different society.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So during that first year, I know some of our listeners who are listening to us right now will be like, "Wow, you had it easy. It was really smooth for you." Some will be like, "I wish mine was just like that. Was just like yours." Like right now, with our first year, we had a lot of struggles. We went through some adjustments period, and it wasn't as smooth as yours was.
But I think that in terms of that, though, like our struggles were before our marriage. So while our first year of marriage was very smooth and it has been like a smooth ride, our pre-marriage was where our struggles were. We went through the long distance relationship for almost 2 years, and then like jumping between two countries, all of the visas and all of the immigration, and it was really difficult. And we put in all of that really hard work to make it happen, and not to lose the lines of communication, not to lose touch with each other. So yes, our first year of marriage was really smooth, but we'd put in all of the legwork before that.
That's really good. I'm glad you guys did that work up front, because sometimes for some couples, they're unable to put in that work up front because of certain circumstances or situations that they are in, so they're unable to do it. But you guys being able to do that is something that is really good.
Yeah.
After being married for more than 2 years, I know with marriage, one thing that every couple needs to do is to improve themselves and to improve their marriage so they can grow together as a married couple. Is there any resource or program that you guys have used that you think has really made a difference in your marriage?
For us, it's like we're obviously an unconventional couple traveling full time. So for us, honestly, we turn to other couples travel blogs, and that for us is because these people are in the same situation as us. They go through the same kind of struggles. They have the same conflicts. So I really think that in applying that to kind of everyone else, I think that it's important to surround yourself with resources and with people who are in your same situation, because you do have you can talk about related topics. You have similar things to talk about. You can give each other tips and advice on how to deal with the same situations. I mean, you're going through the same things. So I think that finding couples travel blogs is our best resource, because they do post about their conflicts and they post about like what's happening, and we're reading these blogs going, that, like, I swear that's us. Yeah, I really think to surround yourself with people who are in a similar situation is like one of the best things you can do.
Talking about the couples that you guys surrounded yourself with, how did you guys connect with them? Did you meet them when you guys were at the airport, or did you just go online and look for them?
Pretty much go online and look for them. So like when I started my blog, a really big part of making an income online is networking. So networking, I started reaching out to different blogs and saying, "Hi, I'm Meg. I run this blog. Like, do you want to keep in touch?" And we've got a couple of Facebook forums that are up, and there are lots of different support groups for couples on the road, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just really kind of going and looking for it. I've always been a big advocate for the fact that information and opportunities aren't just going to come for you. You have to actually put in the hard work and find it. So yeah, we just kind of like searched online, reached out to people, and generally people are very friendly and very willing to network. So it was actually fairly simple and fairly easy to find people in the same situation as us.
Thank you very much, Megan, for sharing your story with us. I know it's not one of the stories that a lot of people are looking to hear, or everything went so smooth and everything was so good during our first year. But I'm glad you are sharing it with our listeners, because there might be an engaged couple who are listening to us today who might be thinking, "Oh, my first year is going to be really difficult." But because you are sharing your story, they'll be able to learn a lot from your story and be like, "Okay, Megan and Mike had a really healthy or really smooth first year." And because they were able to do that, it's possible for us to be able to have the same kind of first year, not the exact first year that you guys had, but a similar first year, and they'll be able to prepare well or put in the hard work before they even get married.
Yeah, definitely. Like, your first year of marriage doesn't have to be hard. Like, of course, every marriage has the difficulties, and you're always going to have conflict. Like, it's not realistic to think otherwise. But I think, like, if you've ultimately married your best friend and you've married the person that you do like want to spend the rest of your life with, then generally overall it should be a fairly smooth experience.
So Megan, is there anything about your first year that I didn't ask you about that you think our listeners should know?
I think we probably covered everything. We did the long distance relationship into kind of a destination wedding, and then just kind of continued traveling from there. So I honestly think we covered everything.
If there was some one word of advice or some lesson that you wish you had known before you got married, what would it be?
Not to be so stubborn.
So stubborn.
Yeah, so as I said, both Mike and I are very independent people, and obviously, so both being very independent, we're both very stubborn. So at some point, someone has to kind of give in. And as I said, like, you can have open lines of communication, but if you're both stubborn, then that communication doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, I know being stubborn is something that you pick up. I don't know whether you pick up when you're a kid, but after you get married, you know that it's something that you have to stop doing or stop practicing just to be able to live together and live happily as a married couple. Because if you're stubborn and your spouse is also stubborn, guess what? Two stubborn people meeting is not going to bring a happy home or make a happy home at all.
I think I would say try and learn the battles that you want to fight and the battles that you can just let go by the wayside because they're going to cause too much trouble.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Megan, for coming on the show today to share your story with us. If some of our listeners want to get in touch with you or they want to say thank you to you, how best can they reach you or how best can they contact you?
For sure. Well, we obviously have our website, which is mappingmegan.com. And then we're on an absolutely ridiculous amount of social medias. So I guarantee whatever social media is you have, we'll be on. We have, like, find us on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Google+, Tumblr, all of the accounts. Just search Mapping Megan and we'll pop up.
Okay. With all the social media outlets out there, what is probably the newest or the one that is hidden that you think nobody knows about that you guys are on there?
Probably YouTube. We're really trying to get into travel videos. So we're really trying to push our YouTube channel. So if you're a big YouTube fan or if you love travel videos or if you want to see if you want to track our second year of marriage, then jump on YouTube.
Okay. All right.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you for sharing your story too. I'm really grateful and I'm glad that you came to share your story with us.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the First Year Marriage Show. To submit a question, feedback, or suggestions for the podcast, visit firstyearmarriage.com/feedback. Apply what you've learned today and build a strong foundation for the happy, healthy, and lasting marriage you desire. Enjoy your marriage. Enjoy your life.